What is up, my Yu-Gi Bros? Today we have an interesting duel video, a little bit different than the norm. We're actually going to test water with a legendary ocean. Nothing else. We're gonna pretend that nothing on my top 10 list came out for water except the legendary ocean, and I want to show you guys the power of what this field spell can do just on its own. So, going into the duel here. We are playing water, our opponent is playing conflict warrior. Now, the only way to do this in speed duels is either we play this in unrated or we go into the speed duel section and we proxy legendary ocean. But I wanted you guys to see what the card did as opposed to me putting a blank on the field like I did with the Luster Dragon in a previous video. So unfortunately, both players are going to have to stack the 5th card from their deck. They're going to have to activate their skill that we have in the form of a link monster to the field. They're going to have to pay 4,000 life points each in order to make this work. But outside of that, rules are the same, except for obviously these zones here will not be used, and neither will these extra deck monster zones. So, going forward into it, we're going second. Their conflict deck is going first. They're going to set a Nightmare Wheel and normal summon a Gearfried, and they're going to pass. We are going to draw into Levia Dragon. We're going to activate a Legendary Ocean, which says it's always treated as Yumi. So keep in mind, we're playing Terror from the Deep. This skill, when we control Kairushin, allows us to activate Yumi directly from our hand deck or graveyard. And since this card is always treated as Yumi, this skill can actually bring this card out as opposed to regular Yumi from our hand deck or graveyard. Now, continuing with this skill, it also says while Kairushin is on the field, all water monsters we control are unaffected by trap effects, which is really strong, especially conveniently against this Nightmare Wheel, for example. And then lastly, if Kairushin you control leaves the field, draw 2 cards and flip this skill over. So why Legendary Ocean is so good is this card says all water monsters on the field gain 200 attack and defense. That's almost the same as regular Yumi. It's a little bit different. It gives generically all water monsters as opposed to the type specifics that Yumi gives monsters. So this can even pump up stuff like Kabazols to 1900 because it's a water dinosaur. But the big effect we care about here is reduce the level of all water monsters in both players' hands and on the field by 1. That makes Kairushin a level 4 2000 attack monster. It'll come out at level 4 because of this, and this will buff it by 200 attack and defense, so it'll come out at 2017, and then this skill can instantly activate. Granted, we'd already have a Legendary Ocean if we normal summon it through that means, but then all our water monsters are unaffected by traps, and if Kairushin leaves the field, we draw 2 cards, and that makes this huge-ass mother effer 1 tribute, as opposed to 2 tributes for 2600, but it would come out at 28 because it would get buffed with the ability to send Yumi from your field to the graveyard to destroy all cards your opponent controls. That seems pretty good. So let's go into this. We start off with a Legendary Ocean, allowing us to normal summon our Kairushin straight to the field. We're going to set Metal Reflex Slime. We're using that as tribute fodder for these in case we don't have this up or if we need that 1 tribute for Levia. We're going to go straight into battle phase, and we're going to have Kairushin swing over Gearfried for a 2000 attack. Keep in mind they have Nightmare Wheel in the field, but our Kairushin will be unaffected due to Terror from the Deep's skill effect. So, they take 200 and they pass. They draw into Dust Tornado. They activate their skill here, paying what should be 1900 life points. There we go. And taking our Kairushin, they're going to tribute it for Gap the Divine Soldier. So this actually throws our Metal Reflex Slime off a bit. Not that they think they had that. I think they just wanted to get this off the field, and that was the best way to do so. But this says all monsters on the field are changed to attack position. So this would come out at 3000 defense, but then it would go to attack mode, which has 0 attack. However, our skill then triggers because Kairushin left the field, so we do draw 2 cards. They're going to set their Dust Tornado, and they're going to go into their battle phase and swing for 2200. And we're going to have to take it because this isn't going to be able to stop them. On the end phase, we'll flip Metal Reflex Slime, putting it on the field in defense, but it shifts to attack mode. We draw into another Reflex Slime in our draw phase. We're going to go into main phase 1, tribute our Reflect for Levia Dragon, and they instantly realize, okay, we need to get rid of this now, so they Dust Tornado the Legendary Ocean off the field. We'll set another Reflex Slime. We will go into battle phase, and we will swing over Gap. They're going to activate Nightmare Wheel, which now works because we don't have Kairushin, but we do have the Twister, so we'll gladly pay 500 to get rid of that. And our Levia boy swings over their Gap. And just like that, we have taken control of the game unless they top deck something amazing here. They draw into a Nightmare Wheel, which will save them. Like I said, we're not unaffected by traps because this isn't on the field. They're going to set a gear free just in case, and they're going to pass. We're going to end phase with another reflex slime. We're going to go into our draw phase, draw into Slushy, which is really good because this and this are sea serpents. So on the offset chance we can get 3 Slushies either banished or in the graveyard, we can bring these back from the graveyard indefinitely until we run out of Slushies. We're going to go into main phase 1 and summon our boy. Tribute the reflex slime for the Kairyu-Shin, which now immediately lets our skill bring back a legendary ocean to the field, also making our monsters unaffected by traps because of Terror from the Deep, now making Nightmare Wheel null and void. But hey, why take the chance when you can just blow the entire board up with Levia's effect, getting rid of everything, and oh by the way, Kairyu-Shin left the field. Now we get to draw 2 cards thanks to the skill. Really cool synergy with this deck, and then we just swing in for game. There we go, yeah, I forgot our skills are on the field technically. And they just straight lose game 1. And this is the power of literally just this card. All we've done to water is add a legendary ocean. I'm sure we'll get more than just 1 water support card in the speed duel box, but with just a legendary ocean, we vamped up the power of water to actually take game 1 over Conflict Warrior. So going into game 2 now, we're going into a sided game, so obviously you're going to expect a little bit of extra stuff. What's cool about this deck is we actually side out the Slushy engine for just 3 Dust Tornadoes. Because Conflict Warrior is full of back row, we can get over their monsters as long as we have a Legendary Ocean, and we can summon things like this. For example, a Legendary Fisherman 2 comes out at level 4 if we have a Legendary Ocean on the field, and 2400 attack. So our beat sticks are not a problem to drop, but it's their back row that's a big heavy problem to us. So we side out the Slushy package. They're going to start with a Nightmare Wheel and a Gear Freed, and they have a Sphere Karibo, which they definitely sided in, which is a good side for this matchup. We draw into Dust Tornado. We're going to set Fishborg Planter. We're going to set our Offerings, our Dust, and our Twister. And at this point, I'm sure if you're playing against Water, you're like, wait a minute, Water just set 3 back row? This doesn't seem like a regular Water deck. And that's because a Legendary Ocean lets this deck do so much more. They're going to draw into Dust Tornado, set that, normal summon Amazoness Sage, witches are actually a really good tech here. It's funny, they actually told me afterward they sided 1 out and they kept the 1 in. They didn't hope to draw it, but it seemed to work out in this situation. Good thing we have the Offerings to get rid of that. Otherwise, that could have been real detrimental, getting rid of our back row. And then their Gear Freed's going to swing over our Planter, and they're going to pass. We don't draw because of Offerings to the Doomed, so we use our Planter's effect in the grave, which says once while it's in the grave, we can send the top card of our deck to the grave. Then if it's a water monster, we can special summon it from the graveyard. So we're going to mill a Kairyu-Shin here, allowing us to bring back Fishborg Planter, which is really good, again, because it gives us extra tribute fodder if we don't have a Legendary Ocean on the field. So we'll bring out Legendary Fisherman 2, who is 2200 attack, and we're going to try to swing over, but they're going to Nightmare Wheel us. Good thing we have a Twister set. We'll pay 500 for that, no problem. We'll keep our Dust Tornado for any actual face downs that we need to deal with. And their monster is destroyed. They're going to draw into Zoma the Spirit. They're going to set Zoma and pass. We're going to set the Twister, go into battle phase, and have Legendary Fisherman 2 swing in directly. They're going to take that, and we're going to pass. Unfortunately, it's Gear Freed, and they actually pass without doing anything. They could have set this, but I get their thought process of we'll wait between Sphere and Zoma, even if they have like the out to this, they don't have the out to this. And that makes sense. I guess they want to be a little precautious, just in case. But on the end phase, we'll flip Dust Tornado, getting rid of their back row, which is then chained because it's their Dust Tornado on our face down, and we'll flip our face down, which is Twister, to get rid of their Zoma. And just like that, we've cleared all the back row, leaving it clear path to victory, unless of course Sphere Karibo happens to be in their hand. We draw into Offerings to the Doomed, which is a good defense. We'll set that, go into battle phase, and have Legendary Fisherman 2 swing in for what should be game, but they'll Sphere Karibo us. They draw into Offerings to the Doomed, which is actually a good out against us. They'll summon Gear Freed, set that, then activate their skill, paying half their life points to take control of our Legendary Fisherman and swing in for 1800 directly. I think the thought process here is they'll do that, then on the next turn they'll Offerings this when we try to attack, and then they'll clean sweep in for what would be game the following turn. However, they don't know we have an Offerings to the Doomed either. We draw into Metal Reflex Slime, more defense is always good. We'll use Planter's Effect, we mill into the Kairushin. It's a little unfortunate because we want our skill to go off and get our extra 2, but we do get him as an extra defense in case anything happens to our Fisherman. We'll put Fisherman in attack mode and swing over their Gearfried, only for it to be Offerings to the Doomed. However, Fisherman has an effect where if it's destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, we can add a level 7 water monster from our deck to our hand. In before comes Levia Dragon Daedalus. Now we have this setup if we draw into a Legendary Ocean. If not, we have 2 tributes between Reflex Slime and Planter, assuming Planter will come back the following turn, or we Offerings this to keep Planter alive. So we're sitting pretty. They end up not being able to draw because of Offerings to the Doomed, so their Gearfried will swing into Planter. We could Offerings, but we choose not to, and it didn't actually matter. We draw into a Legendary Ocean anyways. We'll flip Reflex Slime here. We'll activate it, we'll tribute it for our Levia Dragon, and we'll have Levia Dragon, who's currently at 2800, swing over Gearfried for game. So for the Conflict Warrior deck, we were playing 2 Gap the Divine Soldier, 3 Gearfried the Iron Knight, 3 Command Knight, 2 Amazoness Sage. This is my personal tech, but I really like this, and a lot of my friends have actually been recently playing this as well. 2 Offerings to the Doomed, 3 Zoma the Spirit, 3 Nightmare Wheel, 3 Dust Tornado. The side deck is the 3rd Sage for all those pesky back row decks, double Sphere Karibo, the 3rd Offerings to the Doomed, and 2 Twister. Like I said, we had to play these as Link monsters in this specific thing, but normally this is just the generic extra deck. But for the deck everyone cares most about, the deck I've been calling Terror Ocean, between Terror from the Deep and a Legendary Ocean, consists of 3 Kairushin, because this is the main point of the deck. Allowing you to freely summon it for free with the Legendary Ocean. 2 Levia Dragon. Normally I wouldn't play multiple of these without Big Wave, Small Wave, but being able to have these as 1 tribute and these as 0 tributes makes it a lot easier. So 2 Levia Dragon, 2 Legendary Fisherman number 2, 3 Slushy, 1 Fishboard Planter, 2 Legendary Ocean. We don't need more than 2 copies of this because the skill allows us to bring it out for free with Kairushin. However, I don't like just 1, because this card is actually just good to have by itself. If you draw it and you have a number of these, any of these in your hand, they become instantly easier to access to the field, whether they become no tributes or 1 tribute. I actually might consider bumping this to 3 in the future, because the whole role of getting this as fast as possible is the entire deck, but also every time this leaves the field you draw 2, so it's not like you're really losing advantage if this card hits the board. Triple Offerings to the Doomed as defense, double Twister, right now the format calls for it, otherwise I'd probably main Dust Tornado, and then 3 Metal Reflex Slime rounding out the order, extra tribute fodder like I've said. Also at 3000 defense against anything that's not Moth or Gap is pretty good currently going into this format. In the side deck we have 2 Sphere Karibo as extra little defense, the 3rd Twister, and 3 Dust Tornado, all dealing with heavy back row decks just because we need to have our effects go off as much as possible, and we want to keep this on the field as long as possible, so we want to get rid of all their spell and trap options that could potentially get rid of this, or this if we needed it for tribute fodder. But guys, that's the end of this video. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Do you like a Legendary Ocean? Do you now understand the power of why I've been preaching about this card for so long? Are you still not convinced? Do you think this won't bump it up enough? Let me know in the comments down below. I definitely think this deck would get a lot more powerful. I don't think it would be top tier, but I think it would be a beautiful rogue deck, kind of like Relinquish is at right now, where it has some cute little tricks that makes it relevant. But of course, if we get more than just a Legendary Ocean as a new water support, this deck could easily go into the forefront of being competitive in the future of Speed Duel meta. Comment, like, and subscribe. As always, click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Yugi Bros out.